Hello, I'm John Brisson, author of Fix Your Gut and Health Coach. Welcome to the Fix Your Gut YouTube channel. And today we're going to talk about the probiotic supplement, which is known as Prescript Assist. Now, I have been against Prescript Assist from the very beginning, from its original formulation when I reported about it in 2014 and 2015. But here recently it has been reformulated, which we will talk about that later in a minute. So many people in the natural health community were very pro Prescript Assist. Mark Sisson, Dave Asprey, Richard Nikoley, Kresser, they all recommended Prescript Assist at one point in given time. And some still do, like Richard Nikoley, for example. And John Heron from the Gut Health Protocol, who no longer recommends it, but he did recommend it even a little bit after the new formulation. So, Prescript Assist, even back in the day, it appeared to be a perfect HSO, which stands for hemostatic soil organism or spore-forming probiotic, okay? The supplement was heat and shelf stable. Most of the bacteria that were in it were encapsulated in endospores, even though it did have a couple of strains of yeast in there too as well. And it would be, and since they're encapsulated in endospores, they would be able to survive the low pH of the stomach, so that it would be able to colonize the small intestine or maybe even the large intestine after repeated taking it. And we talked about endospores in the other two videos that I've done so far, one was on Bacillus subtilis, the spore form of Bacillus subtilis, and my actual stance on HSOs. So yes, at one time, and I'm going to read you a part, Kresser said, "Finally, Prescript Assist microflora are recognized as Class 1 etological agents, non-toxic, non-pathogenic, from independently maintained lines. This is well documented in both of the clinical therapeutics articles. More than a decade of use as a supplement has revealed no adverse effects or side effects, including reported patients with impaired immune systems, as well as initial demonstrations with repeated consumptions of doses amounting to 500 times that recommended ordinarily daily use with no ill effect." Simply put, Chris Kresser spelled bullshit, and more than likely he, I don't know, like I don't want to make implications, but was he getting paid? Allegedly, I don't know, but anybody can have any negative side effect to any supplement, and just to say that it's Prescript Assist was non-toxic, especially when we talk about later, or that the study that was done on it was resorting anything of a massive study or to prove its efficacy and safety. That's definitely debated in the old formulation, and it's not even up for debate in the new formulation. New formulation is complete bunk. I'll talk about that a while later. Chris Kresser doesn't even recommend it anymore. But at that time, even in the old formulation, he did say that it was non-toxic, perfectly safe. No one's ever had any issues with it. None of the strains were opportunistic. Like I said earlier, and pardon my French earlier, is bull crap. Sorry, Chris. I do like you, but you were hawking a supplement that it did help some people, like any soil-based probiotic supplement, but it's something that caused a lot of harm with people saying there's no drawbacks to taking them. Okay? So, there's no risks of any of the bacteria or yeast or anything that were in the original Prescript Assist or in the new formulation. Many of the strains are not listed as normal human flora, and we'll talk about why that is later. Okay, there are a few, like Pseudomonas fluorescens, for example, that can be found in the human flora. Sometimes Bacillus can, depending on where you are. Certain strains, if you live out in the rural area, or maybe you're a farmer and you're exposed to a lot of these soil-based organisms, or you work in a place with a lot of soil, maybe, I don't know, you're a construction worker and you're excavating or a mine or something. So yeah, some people would have some exposure to Bacillus, and some of them would have some Bacillus to form colonies. But in general, though, they're not really human flora. So there's a lot of different species, whether it was Anthrobacter glauformis or the Zorobacter genus, or a lot of strains from Bacillus genus, or a lot of Streptomyces or Rhodobacter. A lot of these bacteria and some of the yeast that were previously in the formulation of Prescript Assist and the new one, there's no studies of them being safe in use in humans. They're not known to be normal human flora, so why would you take them? Okay. Next, there were some documented actual opportunistic bacteria in the previous Prescript Assist and the current one. The previous had Actinobacter calosoacetus and Phanercerati chirosporum, which is a yeast. It caused white rot fungus, and if you breathed it in, there were a lot of gardeners. There's a few cases in a reported literature of gardeners who would be digging in the ground and end up getting yeast fungal infections in their lungs from breathing it in. But those have been removed. In the new formulation, the main ones that seem to be causing issues are Bacillus licheniformis, which we'll get to that in another video when I talk about megaspore, Bacillus pumilus, Bacillus subtilis, which I talked about in the previous video, Bacillus thuringiensis, we'll definitely get to that, Myrococcus luteus, Pseudomonas fluorescens, and Pseudomonas puta. Now, there was a recall I do want to mention in the previous formulation that LL Magnetic Clay Inc. of Austin, Texas were recalling lots because they were not labeled under undeclared allergens. They weren't labeled, and so anybody who could be severely allergic to, in the manufacturing practice, allergic to almond, like nuts or crustaceans or eggs or anything like that, since they're not declared on the original Prescript Assist supplement, even if they didn't have it or not, those should be declared. It could have triggered something. So they recalled the old lot of Prescript Assist, and I have that FDA recall posted on my blog. I want to get to that before we talk about the new formulation. So the new formulation still has some issues that the old formulation does. There are opportunistic literature cases of dysbiosis where Myrococcus lutens and Pseudomonas puta. Myrococcus luteus is a normal inhabitant within our microbiome, and it's found in our mouth and mucosa, respiratory tract, skin, and pharynx. So it is part of the natural human flora. And Pseudomonas putus dysbiosis was rarely reported in the literature. But its cousin, Pseudomonas fluorescens, on the other hand, there's a lot of literature of it causing infections, as well as it has been implicated as a cause of Crohn's disease. Now, I believe through the research that the cause of Crohn's disease is Mycobacterium avium paratuberculosis, which is found in Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. That being said, I do think it is a co-infection along with MAP. So if you're definitely suffering from ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, you would not want to take Prescript Assist at all, per my recommendation. And again, a lot of people say, well, you can get lactobacillus dysbiosis, and there's tons of clinical research of that. Yes, there is, but it is a lot easier to eliminate lactobacillus than it is a lot of these spore-forming endospore bacteria. It's a lot harder to take care of them and eliminate them if you do get dysbiosis from them. And Lactobacillus acidophilus and many strains of lactobacillus are normally found in human beings, where a lot of these strains that are in Prescript Assist are not, and we'll get why to that again a little bit later in the video. So the biggest problem I have with the new formulation now is over the old formulation. The old formulation, I would just say, look, if you're going to take it, here are the risks associated with it, okay? The new formulation, I flat out say it's dangerous, in my opinion, and I would not touch it at all because you run a risk of it making you ill. The reason being is because the new formulation contains Bacillus thuringiensis, which produces the pesticide Bt toxin, okay, which is a delta endotoxin, and that's what so we have genetically modified corn. The toxin, the genes for the bacteria used to produce the toxin are inserted into the corn so they can produce the toxins because it's a pesticide. It kills caterpillar, it kills insects when they ingest this toxin, okay, because insects have a very alkaline microbiome, and we have a very acidic microbiome to start out with, and eventually becomes alkaline in the small intestine, a little bit above neutral, and then it goes back to being acidic, slightly acidic in the colon, okay? So many scientists say it's okay for you to ingest Bt toxin, even from genetically modified corn, because you're for two reasons, and I'll disprove why I disagree with that. One, they say is because your stomach acid will inactivate it, the toxin, which is true, but a lot of people don't really, especially with people with higher stomach pH of 3 or 4 or 5, may not inactivate all the toxin. And your small intestine is slightly alkaline, and the toxin can turn on in your small intestine. So that's a problem. And then, well, they claim they use the BT toxin in organic gardening, where organic gardeners or organic farms will put the bacteria on their crops, and it'll produce the toxin and it'll kill the caterpillars and the insects. Or they'll put the toxin on the crops. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but again, you can wash that off more than you could ingesting corn that has toxin producing capabilities or has more of the toxin embedded actually inside of the corn. But anyway, even if you think that genetically modified corn is safe, ingesting the bacteria is stupid and risky because it can colonize your small intestine. And if it does, it's able to produce the toxin there. And the toxin is able to thrive in the alkaline environment of your small intestine and start causing the same issues with the mitochondria and with of your gut of the cells of your gut, as well as your gut lining too, that it causes in insects like caterpillars and stuff. So you do not want to take Prescript Assist because it contains this bacteria, and you don't want this bacteria to grow in your small intestine because it will be able to produce in the alkaline environment of a small intestine. It will be able to produce BT toxin that will work, and it will poison you more than likely, okay? So therefore, that's why I do not recommend Prescript Assist because of the new, especially the new version, because of this addition of this bacteria. Now, here's even good question. What is Prescript Assist? Well, apparently, there is a non-polymer soil inoculant put forth by Tano Biologicals Inc., okay? And it has the exact same microorganisms listed that Prescript Assist does. Every single one. So my guess, allegedly, and I can't 100% verify this, that Safer Medical of Montana is bottling this Tano Biologicals soil inoculant and putting them in Prescript Assist. Okay, which if you put this on your ground as soil inoculant, fine. Even if it has Bacillus thuringiensis in it, it's okay. You know, but ingesting it is not a good idea. And ingesting these bacteria, a lot of them are not supposed to be in the human microbiome. But it's in Prescript Assist. Okay, so in addition, I want to read the disclaimer from Tano Biologicals. All products are for agricultural use only. By your purchase of this product, you're only agreeing to the products in strict compliance with the instructions of the use on the product label. They recognize that Tano Biologicals Inc. is not liable in any manner for any off-label use. It's not for human consumption. It's supposed to just be used in agricultural purposes like growing of crops. I don't think Safer Medical of Montana should be putting this in capsules and giving it to people. I think it's dangerous. So yeah, I would definitely check out my blog on Prescript Assist. I hope I made known why I don't like it. I didn't like the old formulation, and it, a lot of people had histamine issues with it too that people do have with Bacillus, because Bacillus can trigger Th2 dominance and histamine intolerance because some of the bacteria can produce histamine, as well as they are gram-positive, so they do affect the Th2 system. But the problem is you had a probiotic that contained a lot of bacteria and some yeast that were not normal flora. Some were, okay? You replaced that, and I actually believe possibly that the original formulation was soil inoculant as well, okay? But now the new formula we definitely know is more than likely soil inoculant, sold by Tano Biologicals. And it contains Bacillus thuringiensis, which produces a BT toxin, so you do not want it to colonize your alkaline small intestine to be able to produce any BT toxin. And again, there's only one study for Prescript Assist, even its efficacy of the old formula. And it was a very small study. It only had, it had less than 100, even though it was a double-blind placebo study. It had not have a lot of people in it. So you can't replicate something's safety and something's efficacy just from such a small trial. And they haven't done no trials on the new Prescript Assist. So we have no idea what this new, what I believe to be soil inoculant that's added, it can't be. It shouldn't be safe, okay? So I hope it made known that I do not recommend the new formulation of Prescript Assist at all, period, and I find it dangerous. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the Fix Your Gut YouTube channel, and I will be dropping another video in a little bit. Hope y'all have a great day.